All right, so the whole point of this lesson is that oh, sorry, guys. Okay. We can use elevation to help us compare two rational numbers or two absolute values, okay? Elevation is when we're going up and down with negative numbers. Rational numbers are negative, positive, decimals, fractions, whole numbers. And absolute value is the distance that a number is from zero, right? So elevation of an anchor. Let me draw a visual. Too bad I don't have black. All right, so I'm gonna do, since we're talking about elevation, my number line is gonna go up and down. Forgive me if it's not a straight line. All right, did you get the point? So we have an anchor. Oh, let me do 0. We have an anchor that is negative 10 meters, and a house has an elevation of 12 meters. So let me do negative 10. This will represent my anchor. And then I have my house that is at 12 meters. Okay, so even when we're using measurements, it's the same thing applies to measurements. To describe the anchor having a lower elevation than the house, we can write negative 10 is less than 12, right? And say, because negative 10 is lower than 12, so of course it's less than, right? Negative 10 is less than 12, and we can do it with a symbol, okay? Now, when we're talking about absolute value, the anchor is closer to sea level than the house, okay? Now, I know negative 10 is less than 12, but who's closer to sea level? Right here, sea level. Negative 10 is closer. So how can you say that? How can you describe that relationship? The absolute value. When we use bars, that means absolute value of negative 10 is less than 12. And say the distance between negative 10 and 0 is less than the distance between 12 and 0. This distance right here is less than the distance here. Okay? Now, let's talk about, we can use similar descriptions to compare rational numbers and their absolute values outside of the context of elevation. So we don't have to say elevation and sea level and all that stuff. Okay, let me show you a visual of that. Erase it. Draw another number line again. Let's do blue. Oh, a little straighter. Put a 0. I'll use elevation again. That's fine. It can be the other way around, but it's fine. All right. To compare the distance of negative 47.5 and 5.2 from 0. So distance, that's absolute value. Okay, let me go ahead and plot those numbers real quick. So we have negative 47.5, probably about right here. 47. So, and also you're learning that, hey, we don't have to sit here and make so many different lines, right? And do every single number. Sometimes you can just gauge and visually put where you think that number is. So we know that 47 is way larger than 0, so it'll be somewhere over here. Versus 5.2, I'm not going to put 5.2 over here, right? It's close to 0. So I'm going to put it about right here, just so I can kind of see the difference. I don't need to do every single line, okay? We can say absolute value. Negative 47.5 is 47.5 units away from 0, and absolute value of 5.2 is 5.2 units away from 0. So so the absolute value of 47.5 is greater than 5.2. Because remember, when we see an absolute value like this, let me go ahead and write that on the side. Even though the absolute value inside is 47.5, we're not talking about the number itself, but the distance. So at the end of the day, that is going to equal just 47.5 because we're just talking about the distance it is from 0. Okay? So which one is larger? 47.5. The absolute value of negative 47.5, of course, is bigger than 5.2, larger. Okay? What about here? Same thing, negative 18. Absolute value of negative 18 is greater than 4 means the absolute value of negative 18 is greater than 4. This is true because 18 is greater than 4. All right, please don't forget to do your cooldown and submit.